You imagine learning that one of the most significant currencies in the world, the euro, has been subtly substituted as you wake up by a digital asset that most people still connect with speculative cryptocurrency traders rather than by another fiat currency or a digital coin issued by a central bank, XRP. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But what if I told you that an unprecedented event is taking place in the European Union behind closed doors, as indicated by an increasing amount of institutional silence, economic modeling, and legal language? In this video, we'll examine how the MiCA 2.0 treaty, which aims to regulate cryptocurrencies throughout Europe, might have unintentionally created the conditions for XRP to emerge as the mainstay of the EU's monetary system. And why, given its anticipated utility, Deutsche Bank officials are projecting a $50,000 floor price per XRP token. First, the problem that is subtly engulfing the EU. The European Central Bank has reportedly invested time, money, and political capital on the digital euro initiative, but it is reportedly failing behind the scenes. It is too sluggish, too centralized, and too rigid to spread across all 27 member nations and their legacy financial infrastructure, according to early-stage experiments. Transaction rates are significantly slower than anticipated, according to unnamed individuals close to the ECB's testing division. Cross-border interoperability has proven to be a nightmare, and privacy issues have not been addressed. In order to compete with the US, China, and the newly formed BRICS Plus countries, Europe is being forced by geopolitical tensions to provide quicker, safer, and more decentralized financial options. In the face of possible failure, the European Union took the usual crisis management action. This time it concealed its contingency plan in the wording of the updated MiCA 2.0 treaty. The High-Efficiency Liquidity Asset, or HELA for short, is a term that has never before been used in European economic policy and is buried deep within hundreds of pages of legal and technical material. It is characterized as a decentralized digital asset that satisfies a specific set of requirements: consensus-based validation, fixed token supply, instant settlement, borderless functionality, and compatibility with both fiat and digital currencies. Additionally, it needs to work with the current ISO 20022 communications requirements for banks. You should recognize that description if you are familiar with digital assets. Actually, only one asset in the entire globe meets all of the requirements of this definition. The decentralization requirement was completely broken by XRP, Ethereum, Bitcoin, stablecoins, and digital currencies issued by central banks. XRP was created specifically to address this issue, allowing for quick, safe, and international payments in a highly regulated setting. Why would the EU conceal it, then? Why doesn't the statute simply state XRP? Because doing so would prematurely reveal the plan. The silent accumulation and strategic integration that EU central banks are thought to be seeking behind the scenes would be destroyed if the public speculators or opposition institutions realized that XRP was being formally inscribed into European law. The price would immediately soar. They're not yet prepared for that time, if this notion is correct. The ramifications are enormous. Legal status as a financial settlement mechanism comparable to sovereign currencies is something that no other digital asset has if XRP is named the official HELA under MiCA 2.0. This implies that it might be used directly for settlement by EU banks. Businesses might use it as a foundation for digital payments converted to euros, and governments could keep it in reserve. To put it another way, XRP wouldn't technically replace the euro. However, its infrastructure would be replaced. XRP would become the train, and the euro would become a wrapper. XRP could be used for all institutional transfers, payments, and remittances throughout Europe. This is where things become even more dramatic, though. Financial modeling for a European-wide settlement system with XRP as its liquidity backbone is included in an internal paper that was purportedly shared with senior analysts at Deutsche Bank. According to reports, the model sets XRP's base operational value at about $50,000 per token, since that is the lowest valuation needed to support the volume of daily transactional flow throughout the EU, not because of hype or market cap inflation. Less than half of the 100 billion XRP that was ever created are already in circulation, so the asset's value must rise significantly to sustain the annual movement of trillions of euros. In order to preserve liquidity and prevent bottlenecks, the price must rise in proportion to the demand for settlement. Making the system function is more important than making investors wealthy. According to the forecast, XRP will be the HELA utilized to settle corporate debt, interbank loans, and consumer transactions across Europe. The price of XRP must instantly reach 5 figures in order to enable adequate movement without depleting the supply if it is to facilitate even 20% of all EU cross-border payments. These figures are not wild guesses, they are predicated on stress testing for liquidity, velocity of money, and utility. Why XRP, some might wonder? Why not construct something from scratch? The EU has already tried, is the response. This issue was not resolved by the digital euro, which was intended to do so. It lacks speed, scalability, and above all, trust. However, XRP has already undergone testing in actual environments. It is prepared for ISO 20022. Financial institutions from the UAE to Japan are already using it to settle millions of cross-border payments. The infrastructure of Ripple is developed. The escrow methods are perfect for strategic liquidity management, and the XRP ledger is safe. Additionally, take into account Ripple's subdued yet regular interactions with European regulatory agencies. Ripple has taken part in tokenization projects, compliance discussions, and pilot programs with institutions ranging from the Bank of France to the Bundesbank. The implementation of the XRP ledger is obviously being actively discussed at the highest levels behind the scenes despite the company's official disassociation from the EU's policy-making process. Let's now discuss popular reaction, the unspoken issue. The majority of investors as well as the general public have no idea what Hella is. Even the cryptocurrency media has ignored it in favor of more dramatic updates. That's deliberate. Institutions have more time to position themselves the longer the public ignores XRP's possible contribution to Europe's financial recovery. Wouldn't such a transition be revealed with much fanfare, one may wonder? Not always. The majority of significant financial changes take place gradually in backroom discussions and technical documents rather than during public announcements. What would happen if this theory turned out to be correct? What if the ECB starts using XRP to route important settlement corridors and the European Parliament approves MiCA 2.0 with Hella intact? It would be a historic outcome. XRP would immediately rank among the world's most valuable and structurally significant digital assets. There would be no more speculation about its worth. It would work, and in contrast to Bitcoin, which uses more energy to conduct transactions that are less efficient, XRP is quick, green, and designed specifically for very effective liquidity management. $50,000 per XRP would then be required. It wouldn't be bullish. And other jurisdictions will follow if it occurs in the EU. The US, which consistently lags behind in terms of regulatory clarity, may end up implementing comparable systems. Africa, the Gulf states, and South America, where Ripple has already established the framework for adoption, may also do so. XRP has the potential to become the global standard for digital settlement, not simply for Europe's infrastructure. Is this assured? No. Is it feasible? Of course. All the puzzle pieces are on the table. The question still stands as to whether governments have the courage to take action and carry out this revolution before the general public notices. Without a doubt, there will be a noticeable rush if and when the world recognizes that XRP is a monetary base layer rather than a speculative coin. It will be worldwide. It will also be irreparable. Please keep in mind that I do not hold a financial advisor license. These videos' content is solely intended for viewing enjoyment. Before making any financial decisions, I always advise viewers to do their own research and speak with experts. Many thanks for listening. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Additionally, to be the first to know when I post new stuff, make sure you enable the alerts. I can't wait to see you again in the next video. Be careful. Well,